Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Apex Media. On tonight's show, we will be interviewing a local architect, and we're going to be talking about his life, about his education, and about his career. We hope this inspires many of you who are currently working at your careers to be able to work harder and have a successful career. So let's welcome on the show tonight our guest, Alan Bustos. Hey, thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have you. I want to start off by talking about your education, so if you could enlighten us on where you went to school and how that's impacted your current career. Yeah, of course. So I started my education at the University of Central Florida, and I originally was majoring in aerospace engineering, but while I was there, I hit a few rough patches in my time, and I'm actually grateful for these rough patches because of them, they allowed me to discover myself and discover what I truly wanted to do, which was architecture. So from there, I went over to Valencia College to do architecture. I completed my AA there, and this place really helped me figure out what decision I wanted to make and make sure that I made the right decision. And I used a lot of the resources, such as the counseling, to make sure that I always stayed on the right path and made sure that everything I was doing was the right thing to do. From there, I went back to UCF, and I was able to graduate with my bachelor's degree in architectural design. And after that, I decided that I wanted to pursue a master's degree, but I had to figure out where to go. So I had an internship for a while, and because that internship, which I'm going to discuss the internship later, but I was given a tip that FIU was a really good place to go get that master's. So I decided to do that. I went over to FIU. I was there for a while, and I got my master's from FIU. What a story. You have been around a fair amount, and it's important to note that even though you didn't have it all figured out in the beginning, you allowed your mistakes to help build you up, and the learning process helped pave the way to the success that you're in now. And a lot of people worry about the financial burden that seeking out higher education may have on them and may place on their lives. How is your experience with that, as you surely have to spend a fair bit amount throughout your educational journey? Well, yeah, of course, but it wasn't anything that I couldn't handle. I always paid close attention to making sure that I stayed on top of my finances, and things like grants that I received through the colleges that I attended and through FAFSA, they helped me a lot along the way, and I was able to come out the other side with very little to no debt. Clearly, not anything to place a huge burden on my life based on what I earn now. And I always had the mentality to be able to avoid loans as much as possible, unless I absolutely needed to have them. So I did as much work as possible to make that a reality, and then now I don't have too many burdens. Well, I'm glad to hear that, since a lot of people are struggling with their student debt these days. You sure seem like a bright individual, and you're very calculated, and I just want to know, why did you think that this career choice was the correct career choice for you, and what you were meant to be on? Let's see. Well, I believe that it took me a while to figure out what my purpose was, but now it's really clear to me what it is. And I actually have a purpose statement that perfectly sums it up. So my purpose is to remain heavily focused on my work, while being able to keep alive my drive for my creativity and my uniqueness at its peak, and to be able to be valued for that creativity and uniqueness. And I think that I've reached the point in my life where I'm able to keep my creativity, I'm able to keep my uniqueness, and I'm also valued for doing so through my work. And I've always had this creative side in me in everything that I did. And I think it's one of the biggest factors in deciding what I wanted to do. And that's why I think architecture is the perfect way to be able to use my creativity. And some of my strengths that I've noticed before, such as my competitive strength, and as well as my strength of focus, are also heavily used in this field of architecture. So I think that this is how I figured out that this is what I wanted to do, and that this was my purpose. That's incredible that you were able to be your true self in what you do. That is one of the most important things about choosing a career, is you have to choose something that you enjoy and you'll be happy with doing for the rest of your life. Focusing on that let's talk about your career. So, will you talk about what your current career is, what you do, and how you got into it? Yeah, of course. So, at the moment, I have just started running my own firm with a friend, and it's a firm for architects and other similar positions in the field. And this has always been a goal that I've had. This is one of my biggest goals, and it's taken a lot of building to get to this point because it's the highest point. And I first was able to find a job in architecture through an internship that I got from an old job that I had all the way back when I was in high school. And I got a reference from that boss from the old job that I used to have, which is how I got it. And he had a lot of connections, and that really set me off. And that's one of my biggest goals had always been to be able to construct my own house. And now that I'm in this position, I'm finally able to do that. I'm finally able to make that goal, that dream come true and construct my own house. One of my biggest strengths that I always had was being a good learner. And this is something that I've always been really fascinated by because I thought that it was the most important aspect because everything you do comes from learning. And that was right. The internship that I got allowed me to learn many skills which are crucial to the field of architecture, such as using the certain computer programs which architects use, such as Revit, such as AutoCAD. And I was able to also, which I think is the most important, by being in the environment with all these coworkers, is the ability to think as an architect. That's wonderful. It sure seems like you've made all of your goals come true. It's so important that everyone follows this model because it's how we stay happy in our lives, because we want to be able to do something that makes us happy and makes us feel fulfilled. Well, thanks for coming on the show today. It was a pleasure to have you and a pleasure to hear your story and everything on how you came to be. Thanks for having me, and yeah, until next time, it was a pleasure to be here.